second. The drones flying over New Jersey are looking for nuclear bombs?
Hey everyone, my name is John Ferguson. I'm the CEO of Saxon Aerospace here in Wichita, Kansas. I'm not normally a TikTok kind of a guy. I like watching this stuff every once in a while. But I'm a manufacturer of unmanned aircraft, military grade unmanned aircraft, as you can see one of my systems here. There's all of these mysterious drones going on off the East Coast, and as a professional, as a subject matter expert, I wanted to give you all my opinion on what I think could be going on with these drones. I don't particularly believe that these have a nefarious intent. I could be wrong, but I want to give you the truth and what I believe. It's my own opinion, and I've not bounced this off of anybody. So, if you think it's bullshit, whatever, that's cool. I don't want to spread misinformation, as we know that there's a lot of that going around. But anyway, back in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan had dismantled the nuclear program, and there were, with Russia, there were countless nuclear missiles that were disarmed and disposed of. Well, there were over 80, I believe. There were over 80 nuclear warheads that were in Ukraine that came up missing. Okay? We don't know where they are. Maybe somebody does, but nobody really knows where these are. And I speak with some pretty high-level government officials on this stuff, and it seems as though that is the case. So I spoke to a gentleman a few months ago who was trying to raise an alarm to the highest levels of our government, which they had their ears closed, about this one particular nuclear warhead that he physically put his hands on. He physically touched this warhead that was left over from Ukraine. And he knew that that thing was headed towards the United States. Okay? That is a very serious deal. And everyone knows that the United States government, this administration, is pushing to get into a war with Russia. We all know that. We all feel it. We all see it. Okay? Well, back up a few years. Do y'all remember when those drones were mysteriously flying across the Interstate 70 corridor from Colorado up into Nebraska, down here into Kansas, and out into Missouri? Well, it was believed that those drones were looking for radioactive material because there had been some material that come up missing here in the United States, and they felt like it was high probability that the nuclear or the radioactive material would be taken along the Interstate 70 corridor heading east or west or south. So from what we understand, they were out there trying to find this radioactive material. Now, drones, they have no reason to be in the air at night unless you're doing some type of ISR work, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, looking for bad guys, or looking for a victim, a search and rescue victim, or law enforcement, or some type of military project, right? There's no reason for a drone to be flying at night, really, okay? Because they don't see shit. So, unless you have thermal optics, drones really don't see stuff. You need to do mapping during the day. If you're going to do farming stuff, you mostly do it during the day. The only reason why you would ever fly an aircraft, an unmanned aircraft at night, is if you're looking for something, whether it be a person or trying to smell gas. We have methane gas detection systems that can detect gas leaks in pipelines. You really wouldn't use thermal optics for trying to find gas leaks, just simply because the only way you're actually going to find a gas leak with thermal optics is if the gas leak is aggressive enough that it has a difference in temperature, because thermal imaging, it creates a digital image based off of the temperature variance. So whatever is different in temperature, it creates an image. Usually gas leaks so slow that it goes quickly into ambient, before you can even see it. So we have special sensors that can detect gas leaks. We also have special sensors that can detect radioactive material. So with this gentleman that I had spoken with, who was trying to raise the alarm to try to get somebody in the government to say, hey, we need to work together to go try to find this nuclear warhead, none of that ever happened. They knew that warhead was on its way to the United States. That's all that ever came of it. Nothing ever happened. This government did not do anything at all to help this gentleman raise the alarm and raise awareness that there is a very deadly weapon on its way to the United States. It's out there. Nobody knows where it's at now. It left Europe. Now it's gone. So my own guess, is that these drones are not nefarious in intent. If they are, they are, but I doubt it. But if they are drones, the only reason why they would be flying and flying that low is because they're trying to smell something on the ground. That's it. There's no other reason for a drone to be flying in the air other than to piss a bunch of people off at night. That's it. So, my belief is they're trying to smell something on the ground. Gas leaks, radioactive material, whatever. So, and do I think that they're coming up out of the ocean? No, I don't think so. Drones that are multi-copter type drones, not the fixed wing aircraft that look like regular airplanes, but the multi-copters, they only have so much battery life. They have hybrid versions that are gas powered with electric, but those can still only fly for a short period of time. There's no way in hell that any drone is going to go miles off the coast as a multicopter and fly into the interior of the United States and do a bunch of work and then turn around and fly back. It's just physics will not allow that to happen. So these drones, I believe, are launched from a location that nobody knows, but I do believe that they're flying low enough that they're just trying to sniff the ground and try to find something. So again, I hate to be a pessimist or a guy that thinks directly to the negative. However, I know as a professional, I mean, we build professional stuff for the military. I believe that they're actually out there trying to smell something that's very important. So anyway, let me know what you think of this video. I'm not trying to gaslight. I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just trying to let people know that this is a serious deal. It's only serious for what the potential could be, or for what the potential is. There's a lot of them out there. They're flying all over. They're flying low. They're flying at night. There's no reason for it other than to smell something. So anyway, God bless. I hope you all have a wonderful Merry Christmas, and let me know what you think of the video. Thank you. Okay, so I'm picking up on the second video here. The FAA requires all unmanned aircraft to fly that are flying at night to have nav lights. These nav lights are standard nav lights like you would see on any other aircraft, right? It tells you, if you can't see the orientation of the aircraft, then you can see the nav lights and you can determine your orientation of the aircraft by watching these nav lights. But again, the fact that these unmanned systems are using nav lights means that they're complying with FAA regulations, right? So I'll show you what these nav lights look like. But again, they're complying with FAA regulations. they seem to be flying no higher than, say, 400 feet, which the FAA requires any unmanned aircraft with a standard authorization to fly no higher than 400 feet. That's the law. Those are the rules. And if you violate that, then you pretty much stand the risk of getting your license taken away. All drone operators commercially have to have an FAA Part 107. It's very simple to get. You can go on YouTube and type in FAA 107 study course, and you can go get go to pay $150 and get your drone license, and you can do this in less than a week, right? So again, they seem to be following the FAA regulations. Okay, so I'm going to take this aircraft here that I showed you earlier, and I'm going to put the battery in it. So you can see here that we have standard drone lights, right? Those are the nav lights, and if you're going to fly at night, you have to see those aircraft. You have to see those lights fly, or you have to see those lights from roughly 3 miles. So now we're going to go to the communication system. The communication system is very complex. I don't believe that they're flying from vessels offshore, because there's only a few things that you can do with your communications. With a standard radio link, which is C2 and video, command and control and video link, your antennas are only going to allow you to fly so far. Okay, so I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to try to do this here, but I'm going to draw a line here, and here you are. Okay, now this area here is where your drone's going to fly, and that's with a standard antenna that is kind of directional, moving this way. The other thing we have is a dipole antenna, and that's just a straight up antenna. It kind of just looks like this. You probably have seen them, but they send out a signal like this, and we're using about 1 watt of power. Okay, so with 1 watt of power, with a dipole antenna that sends out a signal of 360 degrees, with 1 watt of power, you may only get, maybe 1,000 yards, or maybe 2,000 yards, so you're not going to get very far. But if you go with a directional antenna and you look at like a pie, like this is half of the pie, and your drone's flying out here, okay, you're taking that 1 watt of power and you're sending it out this way. You may be able to fly here, and that will give you maybe a mile, maybe more than a mile. Okay, so having the vessel or the drones flying miles off the coast is not feasible. The second thing is you have to look at your flight time. You have drones that have gas, like the multicopters, like the one I showed you. They have gas engines that push electric motors. They're called hybrid systems. Still, they may only get really roughly 90 minutes of flight time. Okay, so now the other thing you can do with your antennas is, here you are, you can go at a 45 degree. Okay, you're still pushing 1 watt of power. That means that you're not wasting all your power over here and over here, but you're pushing all of that power this way. So this could be a range of 10 miles that you could fly. Okay, so if you're flying out 10 miles, what's the difference between here and here? That could be 15 miles or 10 miles. We don't know, right? So again, you're only at 10 to 15, maybe 20 miles tops. Okay, so the next thing that you can do is you can use a tracking system. So wherever the drone flies, the antenna will lock onto the drone, and you're pushing a small beam with 1 watt of power. Now you could go to 2 watts of power, but now you're starting to get into FCC regulations, right? You actually have to have authorization to fly an aircraft using radios with 2 watts of power. So if your drone is here and you fly out, you might be able to go 100 miles. But the tracking system has to track. So wherever the aircraft goes, right? Wherever the aircraft goes, that antenna is going to track that drone. And if you lose lock on that aircraft, then the aircraft has a safety feature that will allow it to come back. So it's a fail-safe, right? Most drone people know this stuff. So again, there's a lot of things that are happening with these drones that prove that they are not nefarious in intent. Now, as far as gas is concerned and emitting gas or shooting at stuff, I've seen some of those videos, and that doesn't work for me, because if they're shooting any type of projectile, if they're launching any type of projectile off of an unmanned aircraft, that puts you right up there with Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein, right, here in the United States. That's against the law, and you'll go to jail. Now, drones that are, putting off this gas, well, you have to have a special license to do that anyway, right? So it's highly unlikely that they're flying at that altitude and off-gassing this material, whatever it may be. But also, gas or chemicals, water, fuel, they weigh about 6 to 8 pounds a gallon. And so if you have any type of gas that the aircraft is putting off, then your flight time is significantly going to be reduced, because you don't have enough power to keep the aircraft in the air long enough to travel the distance that it takes to go from offshore to the inside of the United States, right? So again, then you have to take the wind in consideration. And these drones are flying at night for cover, but also it's less windy at night. So again, a lot of this stuff isn't making sense to me. I don't believe, again, that these drones have a nefarious intent. I believe they're looking for something, because that's the only thing they can do at night. You can't see shit when you're flying a drone at night using a standard camera. Again, you could do agricultural type stuff, but you would do that during the day. So, and typically, if you're going to do methane gas detection, you typically do that during the day, because you want to see what you're flying into. So, again, none of this stuff makes any sense to me. And, me taking the time to explain all of this to you is very important for me, because I believe that, we are absolutely never going to be told the truth. If you knew what was going on around the world, you would be shocked and you'd be angry. So I'm going to pause this and then start another video. So I'll see you on the third video. Okay, here we are in video number 3. I pulled up some videos and photos to just share with you. So this first video, I want to show you what thermal imaging looks like on one of our aircraft. And again, you can just kind of get an idea of why I'm saying what I'm saying, but here you go. So right up here is the thermal, and then right here is your standard image. So kind of hard to see, but you can see that we're zooming in. So there's not a lot that you can see, so again, sorry if I'm not doing a very good job of showing, pointing the camera. Here's another video. You can see the aircraft here, and then you can see what the aircraft sees here. So again, it's it's difficult, and I'll show you our nav lights. So you can see that's our aircraft. So you might be able to see how the aircraft is just kind of hovering there, and then we're able to move the aircraft along. We can rotate, and then we can fly. And this aircraft, our inspector, is one of the fastest aircraft in the market, and this thing will top out at about 70 miles an hour. So the other thing is that there on the previous video, I had some people kind of doubting my credibility. And I'm going to show you some of this stuff, not that I really need to, but I'm doing it just because I want to, just establish my credibility right out of the bat here, okay? Right out of the cage. So, again, I've been fortunate enough, to be politically active. I'm running for office in 26, and I've been able to meet with presidents, generals, kings, queens, governors, and ministers, around the world. And so this is in Sudan. I'll show you this. So that's Malakagar, and of course that's me right there. So, and then this is just recently, this is the president of Burundi, and that's myself. So again, for those that have, cast any doubt on my credibility and what I do, I'm a factual type of a person, and I'm the guy that will say what others will not say. Sometimes it's to my detriment, but whatever. At least you all know the truth. And so when I run for office in 26 and I do win, I want to do something that that's not really done in office today and have not been done in several decades, and that's just keep everybody informed of what the hell's going on. But there's a lot of nefarious activity going on around the world, and if y'all knew about it, you would not be happy. You would not stand for what is happening to us. So me sharing this video, I'm sure I'm going to get a visit, which is fine because I work with a lot of the law enforcement folks anyway, and they know who I am. They know what I do. So I'm here to tell you guys the best assessment that I possibly can. I'm not saying what I'm telling you is absolutely true, meaning that this is just what I see. This is my assessment, right? So if it's not the case, then good for us, right? So again, please share these videos. Let's let everybody out there know how the aircraft work so that you can understand more. When you see the videos, you'll understand more what's actually happening. So again, aircraft shouldn't be flying at night unless you've got a job to do, and that's looking for shit, okay? So gas leaks, people, military operations, police operations, etc. Okay? There should not be flying at night unless they're providing security or looking for stuff. Okay? Number 2, thermal imaging. Thermal imaging is really about the only way you're really going to see any type of source of anything. Now, using thermal imaging doesn't necessarily mean you can see a gas leak, because remember, thermal imaging measures the variance between temperatures and creates a digital image. Gas, when it leaks out of a pipeline, if it's a slow leak, it will go directly to ambient and you won't really be able to see the gas. That's why we don't use thermal imaging to find gas leaks. We use methane gas detection systems, right? So thermal is if you're looking for hot spots. Okay? The communications, the range of the communications. You got to think about that. You've got to think about your flight duration, battery versus gas. Gas, you're always going to get much longer flight durations. I can take an aircraft, a fixed-wing aircraft, put batteries in it, get 2 hours of flight time. I can put fuel in it and get 18 hours of flight time. So, that's kind of the difference. But multicopters typically do not have gas-powered engines. They're out there, they work fairly well, but they're not going out miles out from the ocean and going inside the United States. It just doesn't work that way. Certain laws of physics that you cannot overcome. So, anyway, I hope this has been educational. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your comments. And, if you don't have anything good to say, you can stick it in your ass. This is my assessment, right? So, but either way, even if you don't agree with me, I'd like to hear your comments. So, y'all have a blessed weekend. Have a great day. And I hope you all have a Merry Christmas coming up. So, thank you.